A being that could fly, confirmed in his lore, far faster than the speed of light, because he can fly light years in a week. He's so mighty that he's 1/3 the strength needed when it comes to how hard he can hit. He's 1/3 the power needed to actually destroy an entire planet, just like this, and have it explode. Get your popcorn ready. In a universe that's not Marvel or DC, it's a comic book universe with other super beings known as the Invincible universe. When the main character's name is Invincible, he has a father who's ridiculously strong known as Omni-Man. Omni-Man is a being, he's basically an alien, kind of reminds me of how Kryptonians are on how he looks human, but he's actually an alien from another planet. This Viltrumite race is extremely powerful by human standards. They're basically on some survival of the fittest type stuff. They let the weak die out and let the strong take over. They're conquerors. They want to bring other worlds under their control, subjugating weaker civilizations. And if you don't agree with their policies, or if you don't submit, you would get wiped from existence. That's the Viltrumite race that Omni-Man's from. That's probably part of the reason why he's so doggone brutal and hardcore. He's one of those characters when it comes to his super strength and superpowers. He's not super complicated. It's pretty straightforward. Like he has super strength, super speed, your standard stuff, enhanced durability, enhanced healing factor to recover from injuries a lot faster than normal beings. He can survive unprotected in space. And it's stated in his handbook that he can fly at speeds faster than light. For a while, he was actually considered the mightiest superhero on the planet before they knew he was like a butthole, basically. Matter of fact, his physiology is so crazy when he was explaining it to his son, Invincible, the older they get, the slower they age. Viltrumite DNA is so pure and complete that you are nearly full-blooded. I could mate with nearly any alien being of comparable evolutionary development and produce a similar offspring. And there's a lot of Viltrumites, and he's still considered to be, like, you know, Viltrumites are strong. Just because they're all Viltrumites doesn't mean they're all equal. They have their weaker ones, they're stronger Viltrumites, and he's considered one of the most powerful soldiers. A great example of how every Viltrumite is not created equal, there's actually some Viltrumites that actually splatter just hitting his body because his body's too durable compared to certain low-tier Viltrumites. He's one of those characters that's scary because he has all this super strength, but his combat speed and reflexes match his crazy speed, being able to move in combat with it. But let's get into it. Metal vaults he can rip open, cars that weigh a couple tons he can easily lift, light stuff like roller coasters, he can catch the weight of it, things that look like they weigh several hundreds of tons he can easily lift. I mean, in actuality, in his lore in the handbook, they literally confirm he can lift over hundreds of tons. I mean, there's nothing really contradicting saying he can lift hundreds of tons. I mean, he lifts debris like this up with ease. I mean, we've seen this guy literally throw a baseball around the world playing catch with Invincible, his son that also got superpowers. They're playing catch like this. So it's obvious he can lift tank-like vehicles up. And aircrafts we know has to weigh at least 50 plus tons, like airplanes we know he can lift up without much issues at all. So whether it's tanks, airplanes, he can lift up stuff like this, but this doesn't really scratch the surface on his limitations though. In raw muscle power, there was a big chunk of the series in the comics where he was actually stronger than his son, and that can give you an idea of how strong Omni-Man was if he's actually physically stronger than his son's muscle at certain points in the series, of course. Not end of the series mark though. Like obviously if there was a grid, I would say mark like this is stronger than him, but there's points in the series where Omni-Man is stronger than his son. And even back in the earlier days, like back in these days, he still was ridiculously strong, which means those lifting feats should technically apply for him too, if he can actually overpower him muscle wise. Like, you know, there's installations that allow Mark to work out or Invincible to work out. He can casually lift over 400 tons, which means if Omni-Man was put in the same situation during this time period, Omni-Man would be able to lift all this weight too. Or even one can say thousands of tons or 1,000 tons, like with this big old pillar he can lift up. Omni-Man should be able to do this too. You get the idea. Like Mark, on this occasion, there's implications him and another Viltrumite that's ridiculously strong too was able to apparently lift a cruise ship, which can weigh hundreds of thousands of tons. There's implications that Omni-Man should at least be able to lift half the weight of a cruise ship or the whole cruise ship, which means he can lift over hundreds of thousands of tons. I mean, I haven't even got on his punches, but if he can lift that much weight, imagine what his punches would feel like. It would feel like a cruise ship falling on your face or something, right? I mean, there's even implications he can lift more weight. I mean, there's literal beings that are not even considered the strongest of the whole universe. There's beings that can literally lift a whole town up, like with all the rubble, like underneath it. Something that Omni-Man probably could do too. Like, you know how there's a comic book version of Omni-Man and a TV show version? Just to give you an idea of just how this universe works, even the TV show version, which is probably going to end up having the same features of the comic when eventually there's more seasons that goes on, even the TV show version stated,
"You should have seen the asteroid I diverted a few years ago. the size of Texas.
And the TV show version of Omni-Man can lift up rocks this huge. Like, this is the type of absurd stuff this universe just does. Even though this is the TV show version, I definitely believe the comic book one could duplicate this feat. An asteroid the size of Texas, guys. The TV show version of Omni-Man apparently deflected or diverted. Even if we assume the asteroid wasn't feeling the full effects of gravity, that would still be a huge asteroid, implying that he would be able to move something bigger than cities or something. You know, the TV show version. But that's just the TV show Omni-Man being this strong. I don't want to spend too much time on the TV show version, even though the TV show is trying to mimic the comics. I also like to say that asteroid that Omni-Man considers small, let me repeat that. Omni-Man considers asteroids that can threaten an entire country small. Yes, Omni-Man said that asteroid that Mark diverted was literally a threat for a country, or they saved a country.
How's it feel to save the world? Or at least the country? By the way, that was a small one.
Oh, they're just casually deflecting asteroids that can threaten a whole country. Oh, don't judge me, though. Let's not spend too much time on the TV show version. Yeah, the comic one can do this, too. Let's be honest. How much weight do you think Omni-Man can lift? But yeah, let's talk about how hard he can punch. We've seen him use his fingers as blades to slice open creatures, like using his fingers like a knife. Robots he can easily punch apart. It's a consistent theme, messing up multiple mechs. It's pretty obvious, just of the collateral of him punching his son, his punches can easily topple over buildings, leveling buildings. So his punches can easily cause building destruction. One can say part of the reason he can punch hard is because he's not afraid to use his momentum in combat, like he would charge towards you with his super speed while flying. That's why you see him go through concrete and even derail trains and such. He uses flight speed to increase his impact of his hits. But even then, he can just punch hard to the point where he can literally be at mountains and punch and do all of this to this mountain. You see all the damage he's doing to it with just his raw punching power. There's implications that his punches can tremble mountains and even break big pieces of a mountain apart. Fist fighting with other powerful beings like Alan the Alien, a being that's literally a Zenkai Boost Saiyan type character. I mean, more proof he's stronger than your average Viltrumite is that we literally see him pull up on two and give him some work like this, to show that he's above average strength when it comes to your average Viltrumite, especially when punching him here. It just kind of shows it, battering and beating him. He's fought all different types of beings like this tentacle-looking creature. We've seen him rip up some young Viltrumites that are nothing to him. He can make them goo or just literally paste with their punches or chops. This is a combination of raw strength and speed blitzing. Like all these heroes, one could say he just freaking speed blitz before they can do anything. The Guardians of the Globe, like it was going so fast, he said, show yourself, like he was moving too fast, apparently. And that's how that happened. And you guys know the routine. Him fighting other powerful beings, superhumans like Mr. Immortal, a being that's literally immortal. And he treats him like paste and chops him into pieces. Don't want to sound like a broken record, but continuously trading blows with different Viltrumites. It's consistent. Stuff like this proves it. And even one of the strongest Viltrumites of all time, known as Thrag, he did a decent job against. But he can't really do too much because that's Thrag. You know, Thrag's a beast, if we're being honest. He hung in there with Thrag for a little bit, though. I mean, that's Thrag, apparently the mightiest Viltrumite of all time, so there's nothing wrong with losing to Thrag. Let me talk about his speed briefly. Yeah, he's ridiculously fast. He can make sharp turns with his speed to show his reflexes. It's literally in writing that he can fly at speeds way faster than the velocity of light. One can say a big reason on why he can hit hard is because of his raw speed. He can like ram at you at fast and light speeds if he really had to, because he can like travel from planet to planet without no spacesuit, like just literally flying at super insane speeds to a planet outside of the solar system, apparently the nearest planet with life within a week, 7 days, to use his super speed to fly outside of the solar system to find the nearest planet with life. And if their universe is anything like ours, apparently, the nearest planet with life, apparently, is this what pops up on Google. And it takes 4 light years to travel this distance. It takes light itself to travel years. Something that takes light this long to get there, Omni-Man got there in a week, apparently. That will mean he can fly at speeds over hundreds of times faster than the speed of light at the very least. And when it comes to these Invincible universes, it's a big universe. There's like literally planets that are millions of light years away, like this one, for example, the Virgo supercluster. Even in the guidebook, when it talks about Viltrums, they can fly at ridiculous speeds and traverse the galaxy under their own power. There's writer intent that they can fly at crazy speeds across the universe. This speed and strength and everything put together is probably the reason why him, along with other Viltrumites working together, Like right here, this was a team effort. Nolan was one of them. Omni-Man was one of the 3 beings that helped actually use their speed to ram into a planet to actually destroy the planet. He's 1/3 of that force needed. If we assume this planet is at least the size of Earth and bigger than moons, and he helped do all of this by ramming into it, by flying through it, like he's literally right here, that would confirm he can at least destroy moons if all 3 of them did their fair share on destroying the planet when it comes to them hitting it hard. You're probably thinking, oh, he needed help to destroy a planet. Well, here's the thing. That is very true, but that would just mean that smaller planets that are not necessarily the size of a normal planet like Earth, he would definitely be able to bust by himself. If he can be 1/3 the power to destroy a smaller planet or even moons, he would be able to blow it by himself technically. Because, you know, planets vary in size. Smaller planets like this, he would technically be able to do on his own. I think we all can agree, especially knowing he can fly at light speeds or even way faster than speeds of light. His attacks can definitely sink cities, split cities, countries, even a nice chunk of the moon, one could say, if he was 1/3 to help destroy the planet. Him destroying multiple continents shouldn't be no issue. So he can basically fly through 1/3 of a planet and destroy 1/3 of a planet, one can say. Or you can look at it that way. Or even smaller planets like moons or something. He can cause catastrophic damage on his own or tremble it at least, shake it with punches at least. Considering that the planet Viltrum in the lore in their guidebook talk about how the gravity of Viltrum is 1.25 of Earth's, like it's actually got more gravity than Earth. One could argue that the planet Viltrum is harder to blow up than a planet like Earth, which would make the feat even more impressive. There's a good chance he can hit even harder. I mean, when you can fly at light speeds or faster than light speeds, the possibilities seem endless. If you can fly and hit things at these speeds, you technically don't even need super strength, honestly. You can just use your velocity buildup and just break stuff apart. Like it's stated here about the gravity of this planet, and it's also stated here that we got more gravity than Earth. Keeping all of that in mind, if somebody was to say he could destroy a planet Earth by himself, I wouldn't really argue against it, considering they destroyed a planet that has more gravity than Earth itself, and you know how gravity holds a planet together. If you could overpower the gravity binding energy, blah, 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 blah. And yeah, so one could say he could just destroy the planet by himself if he really wanted to. And then you got other Image comics that have him fighting beings like Supreme, who's way above planet-shattering level, but people to argue this is not canon and such. And people say this is like another version of Omni-Man that's similar to the main universe, but obviously it's different. Yeah, I don't want to get too wonky, but you know Supreme was punching on Suprema. You know Suprema, a female version of Supreme, basically, is the same super powerful being that's not weak. She can lift up a snow globe that's extremely heavy, something that's as heavy, like, as a universe. Like these are the type of beings that apparently a version of Omni-Man can, but yeah, people say it's not canon, but yeah, something contained in an entire universe that was extremely heavy and she can apparently lift it up. And Supreme is punching this girl and hurting her with punches, and Omni-Man had to stop his punch, apparently a version of Omni-Man, I guess. And apparently stalemated each other and knocked each other out or some crap. Yeah, but I'm not trying to count this, but what do you guys think? Do you think we should count this? I don't really know. Image Comics, you know. Gotta love the continuity. But I want to hear what you guys think. Did you guys know he can easily sink cities, even destroy moons and planets with his punches? You probably didn't. But do you respect him? But before I get going, I gotta say thanks for the donations real quick. Helps out a lot. Respect Omni-Man, of course. His might is scary. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.